So when the commissioners are ready, we can begin. I can get the recording.
All right. Oh,
Yeah, I know. It's
that's
actually
happen. Okay. Um,
so gross. It's great audio. I have to catch myself a couple of times.
I am going to call this meeting of the Italian Village Commission to order. Our,
Okay, now we're ready.
just FYI. Our next business meeting will be Tuesday, February 24th at 12 p.m. in the room next door. And our next month's hearing will be Tuesday, March 10th at 4 p.m. in this room. And now to swear in staff. Can you state your name for the record?
Yes, I can. Morgan Graff with the Planning Division.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth to the best of your ability this evening?
I do. Thank you.
Okay. And now to swear in commissioners, or to introduce commissioners.
Jordan Smith.
Shannon Salvador.
Joe Berardi.
Carla Trott.
You? Do we have a public forum tonight? Okay. Approval of staff approvals. Looks to start on page 3. First, can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm going to run through the addresses for any abstentions. 110 to 112 East 4th, 263 East 4th Avenue, 991 North 4th Street, 312 Cornelia Street. No abstentions? All right. Motion passes as approved. Okay, approval of minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. And it looks like we just approved those staff recommended applications. So we're at COA 2600027.
That is correct.
That is 68 East 2nd Avenue.
Thank you.
All right, will you raise your right hand and state your name for the record?
Brad Pauling.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth to the best of your ability this evening?
I do.
Okay, we'll go to staff to give an overview.
For 68 East 2nd Avenue, this is for demolition, new construction, site work, new signage. Demo involves altering entry portion of the addition. New construction is to construct a new brick lobby addition and covered porch entry per the submitted materials. Columns to be wrapped with aluminum. Site work is to construct new concrete ramp with aluminum railing along the west elevation of the contributing 1950 addition and replace existing sidewalk with new concrete sidewalk. Construct new brick monument pier with wall sign per submitted materials. So the applicant initially reached out to staff in November 2023 to discuss redesigning their front entryway for the new junior achievement location at the historic 2nd Avenue Public School building. Initial plans involve painting the 1957 addition, adding a pergola and enlarging the front vestibule entryway, which would cover up a portion of the historic corner of the original 2nd Public Avenue School. HPO staff discussed with the applicant that although the addition is a newer addition, newer from the 1800 school, public school. It is still considered historic since it was constructed in 1957, and painting that portion would not be supported. The entryway connector portion between the original school and the 1957 addition was redesigned in 1999, and staff is in support of a plan to redesign the 1990s connector. Our recommendation at that time was to extend the addition south instead of west in order to not enclose a portion of that historic building, which it looks like the applicant has done in these revised drawings. At the February business meeting, commissioners appreciated the clear drawings. They asked if there is a drawing showing the vantage point from the stairs. Commission noted the portions proposed and making this area a bigger space makes sense. Some commissioners had concern regarding the heavy appearance of the railing ramp and an otherwise nice effort to create a new entrance. Believe the railing can be made visually lighter and still meet code. Guardrail may not be needed for areas below 30 inches. Some commissioners noted the handrail cutting into the sign monument is making the area look thin. Maybe some tweaks to help. They suggested if some low-key or low-level landscaping could be added to help soften things with all the hardscape and concrete. And commission asked detail to be included for the concrete path where the brick is being removed. They noted preference for brick walkway to remain rather than replacing with impervious surface. Existing walkway is some of the last brick area remaining on the street and leads into an historic building. Applicant did send some minor updates to the drawings earlier this week with the landscaping and railing detail that have been included in the packet for review this evening. We recommend approval of application as submitted with any all clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with the following conditions. For final product details, such as the manufacturer name, specifications for the brick, railing, and window system to be submitted to HPO staff for final review and approval. And although it is new brick for that signage portion, it is recommended the signage be installed via mortar joints and not into the face of the brick. Basis for staff rec is 311611, standards for alterations, as well as Short North Design Guidelines, signage, page 3.37, 3.41, and 311613, standards for site improvements. And that's all from us.
I can start. Since I was the person that suggested that the railing be lighter and that landscaping be added. Looks nice from a distance, but can you zoom into those, please, since we don't have the drawings? And the third thing was, I think Shannon had suggested that we add brick into, I think, or maybe just replace the concrete with brick, which I understand that can be difficult, but we would like to at least see maybe brick panels inset or something to recall the historic area. So is this railing, I think you're not showing this like a shadow behind this like you were. These are the number of
Correct. So
pickets
we've
that are in
we've
there.
updated the railings to reflect what would be sort of the inside against the brick and then sort of the outside railing. Against the existing building, we're just proposing a 1.5-inch steel welded pipe rail with uprights at 4 feet on center, so the required, and then that'll just get into the ramp as it makes its way up the side of the building. So nothing will actually adhere or be secured to the existing building, but we need the handrails on both sides. We've spoken with Junior Achievement, and we've gone through kind of your suggestions for the three things you just mentioned. Landscaping, we've included a plan that shows some low landscaping components in that sort of island. I think that's a great improvement. We did talk with them about the railing itself, and they had some concerns about kids trying to jump over all this and running. And so actually putting in a little bit more of a traditional railing system. So in this case, steel welded system, painted black, something to match kind of what's going on the inside of the building already, was actually preferred for them from the ability to kind of try to keep kids from doing things they shouldn't off of it. And then the other
Kids,
yeah,
really? Kids?
yeah, yeah. And then the last thing was the brick sidewalk. So they've had some trouble maintaining that sidewalk currently, especially during snow and ice storms like we've had. They as the owners would really appreciate it if it could be concrete, because they have had a hard time keeping it and maintaining it from that standpoint. So the sidewalk does move over slightly. It is not in the exact same location as the one that we are removing out because of the ramp addition. And so their request was to present it back to you as concrete, and that was what they would like to see here today.
I mean, there's concrete and then there's nicely done concrete and the score joints and those kinds of things, and maybe even adding some color or something like that.
I think they'd be amenable to color dyes in it. I think they could do that.
And then if you could give us a scoring, concrete and construction joint pattern. So we see, maybe that has a kind of edge or just something to make it seem a little bit nicer than a standard. I mean, I can understand that brick could be a problem if it's something, they're not in love with. Takes some effort to, recess the brick and that kind of thing to get it to stay in place. I'm okay with that, and then we'll see what other people say. And I'm sorry, it's just was a little bit too small. Those are junipers, and what were the other plants that were in there?
Let me go to that
They're
commissioner.
in the packet. It's a Yuki snowflake and a big blue lyrid,
What's it?
lyro.
There we go. Oh, Liriope.
Yeah, Liriope.
Ugh. The thing about that is it's just a plant that sometimes it's evergreen and sometimes it's not, and then you're just left with this big patch of mulch. It's not too big, so I guess that's okay. The junipers are great, and then what does that say? Yuki snowflake.
BEUTZIA. Carla?
Heard of it. Well, I'm assuming that's probably some kind of deciduous plant.
And then there's a limelight hydrangea to the left. There.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. And then in terms of the spacing, you don't have to have that spacing until it's a 30-inch drop. But it does look better. I think, we're not worrying about babies getting their heads through the rail or something like that. I wonder if you went to a 1-inch versus a 1.5 inch, but kept the spacing.
Yeah, so we're showing 3/4 inch upright pickets.
Oh,
with
you, I
one-
thought you said
with
1.5.
1.5 inch frame.
Can we,
Three-
let's
yeah.
let all the commissioners and then,
Mhm.
Okay,
because you guys
sure.
are basically having, yeah.
Because I'm hogging.
Well, we're not supposed to have conversations.
Oh,
Yeah, it's supposed to be comments from the commissioners and then back and
Oh,
forth between
okay.
the applicants and things like that. So just until all the commissioners
I
have gone
just
through
allowed
their
it because we
comments.
didn't talk first.
Oh, very true. Yes, that is
You
true.
let me
So.
go first.
I guess just a few comments for me. I like the landscape. I think maybe consider landscaping in front of the ramp, just to kind of shield that a little bit. And then the only other question is just exterior lighting, if you have landscape lighting or any lighting for the new vestibule. I think that's pretty much it.
I don't have any additional comments from what's been said so far.
Yeah, no additional comments as well.
Are you okay with no brick?
I'm fine with that. As long as there's dye and scoring.
And that's something that could go to staff.
Yes.
Yeah, they can go to staff for final details on that. So nothing additional, everything else is good for what the applicant has
So,
supplied?
well, do you have a response about the railing now that?
Oh, yeah.
Sure, so the railing itself, 3/4 inch pickets on majority of the uprights. Then we have a 1.5 inch pipe frame, so square frame.
Okay.
Yeah. The lighting for the project, we will have a few can fixtures in the underside of the canopy in the front. We do not currently have a lot of exterior lighting around the building and other places, and so they did not want to add additional lighting to any of the pieces here across the front. Most of their use is during the day, so there wasn't a need for putting pathway lighting or anything else like that. At least they didn't express that. So there was no additional other than a few cans at the door itself.
Good. Any other comments based on that feedback regarding the railing specifically? The lighting?
I think technically for us to approve this, we still need final material selections, correct?
Yes, or that could go to staff.
Or that, You go, Steph.
Those items can go to staff. We do have, of course, the samples here of what the applicant would like to submit, of course, to match the brick that's there. Same thing with like the aluminum storefront and the railing. We just need the product specifications for those for stamping purposes, but that can go to staff for approval. Yeah.
All right, do I have a motion?
Yes.
I don't have to give these anymore.
No.
Sorry, I lost the number.
COA 26-00027, Commissioner
I
Trot.
just remember that or just use
No, you
that.
can use it.
I move that we approve COA 200027. As the drawings have been amended to lighten the railing per the drawings, to add landscaping between the sidewalk and the ramp. And was there another one? I think
Sidewalk.
Oh, yes, and to, I forgot to, and to enhance the concrete sidewalk with well-designed score lines and construction joints to make it have some character.
Commissioner Trot, would you like to add the coloring that you discussed with the applicant earlier in the meeting, this application? Or just the, well-designed?
I think I'm
square.
fine with just the score joints and the pattern.
And then would you like to add to staff's condition as well from the staff report? For the product specification sheets, and then of course the signage to be installed into mortar joints. Would you like to? Okay. No problem.
This is a problem with it not being printed out anymore.
I know.
Can't have it next to each other. All right, do I have a second of that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that this is when I have to start recusing myself for these next two.
Yes, they are the Summit Street properties. So Commissioner Salvador will be recusing themselves from the next two applications. And Commissioner Trot, you will be acting as temporary chair.
I'm kind of hate this.
Like, right there.
Swear them in.
Yeah, so you swear in the
You sure
movies.
you don't want to do this?
I can help you.
Okay, we're gonna tag team this. Of course, I forgot my glasses.
Oh, you forgot your glasses. Well, Joe, would you
Yeah,
just
sure.
slide? Okay, I was like, let's try not to tag team. We'll just have one temporary
gonna have
here
to tell
for
me
the
what.
moment. So thank you. Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. Thank you, Commissioner Party. All right.
Fumble my way through it.
Okay, I'll just call the applicant up, Joe, so no worries. For COA 26-00047, 1041 Summit Street, we have the applicant. Thank you very much. All right. And if you would like to swear in the applicant, Commissioner Barty?
Yep. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. For 1041 Summit Street, this is exterior building alterations. This application is response to a code violation. Installation of HVAC equipment penetrating into the slate roof at the primary east facade, terminating between the dormers. Let me just click out of this so we can zoom in a little bit better. Application COA 25-00324B for exterior building alterations and landscaping was approved at the May 2025 IBC hearing. We have included those documents in here. Let me see if I can find those real quick. Just as reference at this time. Yes. All right, the commission included the condition that the large HVAC equipment should be moved as far south as possible to provide the least amount of obstruction to the dormers. A permit packet was submitted after the commission's review. The applicant did not identify or request any changes to the proposal. However, page 34, sheet M201, conflicts with the application materials reviewed and approved by the commission at the May 2025 hearing, as the page indicates slate roof penetration at the base of the slate roof. Application COA 25-00477 was reviewed and approved at the August 2025 IBC hearing with proposal submitted as an amendment to the previously approved HVAC screening height from 36 inches to 42 inches. Code minimum height requirements. The applicant did not identify or request any changes to the roof penetrations at that time. Let me see if I can find that one specifically. All right. And the slate roof penetration between the dormers on the slate roof was undertaken and a code violation was issued on December 15th, 2025. At the February business meeting, the commissioners provided the following feedback. The commission asked the applicant to include a drawing of a proposed screen wall in context of one of the current photos. I'm sorry, I'm jumping back and forth, so just bear with me. Okay. The commission noted even with the screening, believe we'll be able to see the ductwork. The commission asked to confirm whether any additional work has taken place since the code enforcement photos. The commission noted the most significant part of the building is the slate roof with the dormers. Could have been flexible with other areas, even the side wall. However, as installed, the ductwork has created a hole right in the most character defining part of the building. They noted they were previously flexible regarding the original proposal because it was shown to involve only the flat roof rather than the historic characteristic of the building, and circumstances were that the flat roof addition was on the front. The work instead interferes with the historic characteristics intended to be protected. Commission noted the duct work undertaken was never depicted or discussed by the applicant. The work that has taken place is not in the spirit of what was approved by the commission. And the commission noted that they would not have supported the proposal as currently installed had this come for review. In response to the commission's feedback, the applicant has submitted a rendering and drawing showing the screen wall in context of one of the current photos. I'm assuming it's this page that we're on right now, but the applicant can verify later on through discussion. As the work undertaken does not match what was approved and does not meet City Code Chapter 3116 or the guidelines, staff is unable to support the unapproved work. Staff recommends the following options: continuing the application to allow the applicant time to revise the proposal to meet City Code and Italian Village guidelines, or recommendation of denial of application COA 26-00047 based on City Code 311611, standards for alteration, City Code 311614, standards for demolition, and City Code 311613, standards for site improvements, as well as the Columbus Architectural Review Commission guidelines. Basis of staff rec is the following that were listed for the reasons for denial for 3116. So,
Yeah, turn it over.
All right. Evening, commissioners. Appreciate the time. I understand this is a code violation application we're dealing with, so we're not dealing with something new here. In fact, you may recall we addressed this project earlier in 2025 with an approval coming in May. I do want to clarify a few what I believe to be mischaracterizations of the project to date and in the staff report. One of which being that this is not a slate roof. This building does not have a slate roof. And there's numerous references to slate. It's not slate. So I want to clarify that we're not dealing with that material or that kind of historic quality. It is a fibrous panel or a fibrous tile roof that we're dealing with. So to clear that up, the other clarification I want to make sure that we're all aware of and understanding is that the installed condition is only a slight variation by a measure of a handful of feet, really, from the approved mechanical plan that was approved by staff and had this certificate of appropriateness stamp on it during the building plan review process back in the summer of 2025. So there, I think that's the plan that was approved. The ductwork is depicted there going into the sloped roof portion of the building. Now, because of, we also submitted a letter from the general contractor on the project stating why field conditions demanded that ductwork location be shifted. We're dealing with essentially a case of technical infeasibility. The ductwork had to enter the building where it entered, and great care was taken to minimize the impact on the structure because of the conversation today and the understanding of the contributing nature of the building itself. So what we're looking at is really the lowest common denominator in terms of how we get ductwork into this building. Has to be where it was installed. And there's a letter depicting the reasons why that was the case. Furthermore, I just want to add that, this building sat vacant for about, at least 10 years previous to the ownership making the investment in the property. There were no systems in the building. So in order for any reasonable occupied use to exist in the structure, HVAC was going to have to be added to the building. So we're not really dealing with a case of I think any applicant would have found themselves in a similar situation trying to make modern systems work in a structure of this kind with the parameters that exist on site. So with that, I will just add that I think one of the things that we talked about in the commission back during the approval process was the height of the guardrail or the equipment screen. I think there's a lot of flexibility, in how high we can take that. If there's a concern that we might still see some of the ductwork, obviously you can never solve for any angle of approach. There's all kinds of different oblique angles and variables to solve for there, but we believe that a 36-inch equipment screen should adequately screen. That's what's depicted in the rendering in the upper right corner of that sheet. But if the commission if it would please the commission, we could absolutely entertain the raising that screen, which I believe was a topic of conversation when we met last. Furthermore, I do want to point out that the equipment screen was originally proposed to be a metal system. We feel that we are proposing under this resubmittal a site-built wood solution that we feel more adequately matches the existing wood trim on the building. So that'll be painted to match existing trim, and the detail is shown there. With that, I would be happy to field any questions from the commission.
Before the commission begins discussion, Mr. Toddy, do you mind just explaining where that detail is? Is it here? Do you have an elevation of what that will look like, or is it just that section drawing?
So
of
that's the
fencing?
section detail there.
Okay.
Correct. And then the next sheet has elevation showing what that.
Okay,
screen.
so this will be, I just wanted to clarify.
And you can see, so we've added, thanks for pointing this out. The elevations now contain the dashed extents of where that ductwork exists. So that's been added to the elevation for reference.
Okay. And you're showing it at 36 inches, but you previously were approved to increase the height to 42.
We could go up to, I think we'd go up to 42 if necessary, and we could obviously go higher than 42.
Okay. So just, sorry, quick clarification, just since I was not originally reviewing this application, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It looks like on page 1, it's shown at 36 inches, but on page 2, it's shown at 3 feet, 6 inches, which is 42 inches, just for clarification as well.
I thought we had approved that to go to 42 because of fall protection.
It was previously approved under COA 25-00477 in August.
That must have been a follow-up to the
Yes.
IVC code.
It was a follow-up, so it was a separate application at that time just to increase that height for code requirement.
Yes.
So yeah,
yes,
so
correct.
it was previously approved to be,
Yes.
42.
42.
Yeah.
So just to clarify for everyone.
Okay. Jordan?
And thank you, Commissioner Smith, for noting that for the
Yes, thank you.
drawings.
So is the request now to bring it down to 36? Is that, or is it essentially already approved for 42 and that's?
That's up for discussion right now, just the fact that it has previously been approved for that height. So if the commission feel that it would be better to increase it, but we'll go through that discussion, our commissioner comments at this time, so.
And this is the one that's up now is 42 inches?
Yes. Just a quick clarification before comments are.
Yep. Jordan?
Is there a line of sight study that was done previously at 42? Because I think if I recall, looking at like the first picture, the idea was that installed DOAS unit essentially be out of line of sight from there.
We did a study during the original submission at 36 that, or at 42, it was lowered to 36 in those conversations because the commission was concerned that we would lose sight of the dormers themselves. Then it was raised back up to 42 for code reasons. I believe we always knew the entire time that the DOAS was going to be larger than that and you're always going to see the top of the DOAS unit and the kitchen exhaust fans that are there.
Just have one thing I wanted a clarification on sheet 1, I think it is, that has the section through with the sightline drawing on there. Is there really no parapet?
There's no parapet. It is a shed roof to a gutter on the east side of the building.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, did you want to go?
No.
Okay, so I think, like everyone else, we're concerned about aesthetics and what this is going to look like, and, you know, feel badly that this is so difficult to get this building going because it's such a nice building, and you know, we want to see that happens. But if you could go to the first sheet. And then if you so you look at this detail, I think we're all probably going to be fine with it being 42 inches versus 36. And then if you could zoom in on the photo,
Yes.
Morgan.
Just the photo entirely, or is anything specific on the photo, Commissioner Trott?
Yeah, right in there. And so what you see is this front piece that's in the section drawn as just being a vertical is it actually leaning forward like it looks like?
No,
there?
it's a vertical.
It is, that is so deceiving.
I'm sorry, on the DOAS unit?
Yeah.
That part is slanted. Yes, that is the intake. That's slanted.
And so the screen wall can really be shown as far back as this section.
It's
shows.
tight. We're pretty tight, but it does, yes, it does lay out and fit there with the slant on the unit.
Does it have air intake requirements and that kind of thing in the front there?
Yeah, there are clearances around that unit that are built in. And
So you're considering, because if it's straight, then it isn't as much of an issue. But the one thing that I appreciate that you're saying we want to make this wood look like it's the rest of the building. I don't know, for some reason, the metal seemed to work more for me because it was lighter and that kind of thing. And I'm really curious what the profile of that will be. As you know, when you're doing this at slants, what do we really see? You know, because it's slant, as you know, and so it's going to be a different profile. But one of the major things that I think has to be figured out is what color all these things are going to be. In my mind, the darker the better. Maybe not all the way to black, but and I'm thinking that if it came as close to the roofing material, whatever it is, not slate, but I don't know what, it's just a composite or some kind of
Yeah.
other.
some sort of fibrous panel.
Yeah. That if everything just kind of was the same color, that maybe it would go away and we wouldn't see it. So I think it's a question of what is that profile going to be when you see this? Was it cheaper to do the wood than the other
It
one?
really came down to a constructability issue. Could we see the detail again, section cut on page 1?
I'll say, let's go through our comments with the commission like we just discussed in our previous application. And then we'll get through like the nitty gritty details. So just initial comments and then from the commission.
Guys just have to put a muzzle on it too.
No. Yeah, so we'll just go through, we'll do the initial comments and then we'll have more of the back and forth with
No,
the
I
applicant,
think
okay? So do you have any other comments at this time, Commissioner Trott?
Well,
Just real
that's the
quickly.
main thing, just
Okay.
that I think we need to talk about the aesthetics of what this is going to be in. And I think some of the mechanical systems should be painted out too. That silver is so bright. Aluminum, sorry.
Jordan, anything else?
Nothing else.
Okay. I guess my comments kind of follow the rest of the commissioners, just really understanding the height and, adjusting this rendering a little bit on the mock-up whether it's 36 or 42. I think you raised it to 42 for fall protection.
Fall protection.
So I think, we're looking at, is it 42 or is it creeping up to 48 inches? And then, what is the impact to the dormer? So I think, maybe a straight on shot and, maybe kind of another side angle like you have here. Just give us a couple different perspectives of what this taller screen might look like with your sightline study.
From a rendering.
Yeah, from a rendering standpoint. Because the other question I really have is, maybe a cross section might help a little bit too, understanding what some of that structure looks like. Because I'm guessing it's really the way the bearing hits with the trusses or the 2x framing for the roofing. So we have a better understanding of how this happened, and maybe we take that ductwork and shift it all the way to the valley, and maybe that helps shield it. So maybe there's a couple different perspectives to look at it, and understanding maybe painting this to kind of blend in with the roof shingles that are there that are not slate, but like a composite material or whatever that might be, and just providing some additional support for that. I think are kind of my initial comments. Happy to open up to you dialogue now.
Great. Let's maybe start discuss the color of the screen. We felt it was probably most appropriate to keep it in that kind of deep red burnt umber color that is the existing building trim. I don't think that's if the commission would like us to explore other options, I think that's certainly happy to do that, whether it's the color of the shingles. I guess, would there be a preference on which direction we go?
For me, I think it's just the compatibility. I think I could see it going both ways. I could see it being painted the same color as the shingles to sort of blend and make it disappear. My only fear is if it gets painted the same as the trim, then it draws a little bit more attention to the project and,
Right.
Not the project, but the railing, and then ultimately the DOAS and, the exhaust and makeup air, that we're kind of dealing with in that ductwork. So, I mean, I can kind of see it both ways. I would almost lean more toward the roofing. Try to make it blend in as much as possible. Ultimately, I think, for me, it's trying to, make this disappear, but also don't lose that character of the dormers that are up there.
Yeah. I mean, if you pull off the red color perfectly, and there's something about the texture and all of those things, the shadowing and what you're doing could probably look fine.
Yeah.
But it just seems like the other way would be easier to make it, to have it blend. But I would be more than open to having you show us mock-ups of both of them. I think it's worth doing. The building is worth that.
Yeah. As for the painting of the equipment, I'm happy. We can explore that as an option, certainly. I'm hesitant to commit to anything because I don't know if that equipment can be painted, but we can certainly explore that as an option as well.
So I'd say typically the equipment doesn't get painted, but
Right.
I think the ductwork might be an option just to make it disappear.
Just go away.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think the strategy is, how do we make this disappear? It seems like there's technical infeasibilities. It's how do we, make this compatible with the historic building?
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking for a better image. I know there is one, maybe it's at the end of this.
Yes, my thought was, that ductwork gets shifted from between the middle two and shifted all the way to the
The corner.
left.
We
south.
can certainly explore that. I think again,
Probably.
there might be some clearance issues
Right.
and other variables that we haven't
Yeah.
considered, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Just want to say one.
There are those two elements there that seem to be installed for the ducting as well. That might be help, at least cover that if it is going through the valley,
Right.
From different angles, potentially too.
Yeah. So this isn't the best. Oh, what did I do? There it is.
So from the materials, Commissioner Trott,
It's this one.
Okay, I can zoom in on that real
Okay.
quick. Oh, that's very blurry. Let me pick another one.
That's fine.
There it is.
But you can
Yep.
see and this one doesn't really show it as shiny as it seems in some of the other photos, but if I just dull all that down, make
Yeah.
it match the slate, big
Yep.
slate.
Mhm.
Wouldn't hide that.
So I guess from our perspective, we can continue this or, have further discussion on what your thoughts are.
I mean, I think I have some good takeaways,
Okay.
things to take back and consider with the client on this. And sounds like maybe a continuation would be the best outcome here.
Mhm. Would agree with that as well. And just since we're here and we do have these photos, has there been an application submitted for this temporary signage
I am
yet?
aware of anything to do with the temporary
Okay.
signage.
For temporary signage, just to let the owner know that does need a temporary COA to be submitted. So if you don't mind just letting them know, but just a question since we were seeing it in these photos. But yes, if the applicant is fine to continue, then we can vote for a continuation of the application.
Yeah.
Do you want me to say that? Where's the number?
Let me pull it up. Yeah.
So I move that we continue COA 26000047. And would you like me to list the things that we suggested?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. That the main directive is to make this kind of go away by painting, by the kind of profile of the screen wall, that the screen wall be raised to 42 inches in terms of screening as much as possible. That with moving the ductwork, to explore moving the ductwork to make it less visible. Is
Yeah.
that
Further south.
further south
Toward the valley.
towards the valley of the roof? Am I missing anything?
Explore
Section drawing.
a section drawing and
Oh, yes.
the
You
48
can-
inch, and a
you can
48-inch
hear.
tall screen wall just to kind of,
Oh, 48. I said 42.
Yeah.
So do you want 48?
Mhm.
yeah, because I think we
Okay.
are required, or you're
Yeah.
required to have 42. So
Mhm. And the additional feedback provided by the commission at this time.
And I think we would appreciate kind of mock-ups or at least rendering showing the color changes to the screen wall and the ductwork itself, if possible, in either a gray kind of scheme matching the slate or one that picks up on the reddish tones of the brick in the building.
Okay.
Thinking that that might be more difficult to pull off.
Right. And since Commissioner Berardi is acting as chair, Commissioner Smith, you'll need to second that motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Thank you.
Aye.
Abstentions? No.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, and you're not a part of this application. Okay, I thought you were. Sorry.
So many.
Okay. All right. Same address, different applicant for this. This is COA 2501-387 for 1041 Summit Street. If the applicant would like to come up to the table for this application and be sworn in.
Ready? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
All right. So this is to install 3 sign. Oh, just to verify, we are on conceptual application, so this is our first conceptual. So this is, no motion is taken on this or action at this time. This is to install 3 signs. Sign 1 is to be 17.36 square feet, wall sign at the south elevation, reading Italian Village Market. Sign proposed to be either non-illuminated or face illuminated letters. Sign 2, which I believe is this one. Apologies about that. Right over here. Sign 2 is to be 10.5 square feet, externally illuminated, projecting sign on the east elevation, reading Little Italian Food Street. And then sign 3 to be 25 square feet, which I'm not sure which one that is. I apologize, I was not the initial staff reviewing this application, so this is a little new to me. Oh, it's right here, I apologize. Sign 3 to be 25 square feet, wall sign at the east elevation reading Italian Village Market. Sign proposed to be non-illuminated or face illuminated letters. At the February business meeting, the commissioners appreciated the signage size, seems generally in proportion with the scale of the building on each elevation. Commission noted it seems useful for the neighborhood to have a projecting sign on Summit since the traffic is one-way. The commission appreciated that the signs appear to be either non-illuminated or externally illuminated, consistent with the guidelines. They noted the review of the proposed wall sign on the east elevation screen wall will be dependent on how the current ductwork code violation is resolved. Difficult to evaluate in that location prior to resolving the code issue. Currently, the wall sign looks like it calls attention to the screen and code violation area. Commission noted the drawing shows the screen to be 3 feet. However, the height had previously been revised to 42 inches. Recommend revising the drawings to be accurate to that height change. Staff recommends the commissioners should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at future IBC meeting. No action is required at this time.
Turn it over to you.
So, we were looking for a spot where we can put us, there's two businesses within this business. There's the Little Italian Village, and then there's our Italian Village Market, and then the Little Italian, whatever the other one is. We've got an entrance to the building that's on the south side, so we clearly want to identify that. But obviously, the main traffic is on Summit. I don't want to plaster. We, by the way, are not responsible for the temporary signs that are up there, just so that you know that. I'm not trying to oversign, but we do need to have signage on both sides of that building for Little Italian or for Italian Village Market. The screen wall, before I found out that there was potentially going to be a screen wall for this HVAC stuff, I was looking at the building going, this is really terrible from an architectural standpoint where I could potentially put a sign, other than the projecting sign, which is tiny. So actually the screen offers an opportunity for us to do something on it. And it's interesting that you then bring up color, because I look at it the same way. And I actually think a dark color that makes the screen wall recede and go away is good. And for me, then I could put up light colored letters and not have a backer panel, make my signage more effective, make it read better. And quite frankly, then your eyes can do, it's a little bit like the decorative swirls they put on the side of a vintage toaster. The reason they put those on there is because of the imperfections inevitably that you have when you're making a chrome shiny toaster. So by putting something on there that's a little bit of eye candy that sort of distracts your eye, you don't notice the blemishes in the chrome. I think in some respects, if the screen wall is done right, and then it's in a nice dark color, and the HVAC stuff is darkened, that nice tasteful lettering on there would actually work to help diffuse, again, all the stuff on the roof, including the screen wall. Because at that point, it just becomes a neutral background. And I think that even if we wanted to make the architecture pop more, because I think it's a great building. Used to live on 2nd Avenue, always loved this building. I mean, the addition is terrible. That's obviously not originally part of the building. So fun to see interior shots of the building with the arches. Clearly, it was probably used to be a shop originally that worked on cars or worked on carriages or something like that. So it would be great to, there's no going back to that, sadly. But I think that for us, at least for me, from a signage standpoint, a communication standpoint, that screen wall offers a great opportunity to put signage up there. I'm happy to design it carefully to look great and to work up there effectively and go through various design iterations and things like that. And then obviously we need a projecting sign for the other little market. So the question ends up, one of the questions I had to the owner was, is the building being painted at all? Just because it looks like it could use some paint. But the colors are not anything that is terribly interesting. But I want to design my signage to work with that. So I have to obviously bear in mind what colors are going to be used on the building and then think about that for signage. One of the reasons why we chose the black and white, and this is just because we can sort of take color as a discussion at the moment out of the equation. I really just want to find out, are we allowed to do signs in these 3 locations? And are we roughly okay with the size?
Okay, Jordan?
Yeah, I have no comments, as far as the 3 locations. I think that that's appropriate, given that there's 2 uses in the building. Um, as far as the size, remind me what the requirement is.
So up to 25 square feet, I believe.
25 square feet for wall signs and then 12 square feet for projecting signs is part of the Short North Design Guidelines.
Yes, I think that these 2 also meet the requirements of that, so no further comment on that.
I have 3 comments. I really like the font that you used and the little line.
Does it look strangely familiar to you?
I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe what is it?
So it's.
But the thing
it's
is,
the
you
same-
added.
It's the same font as the Ferrari font, so kind of fun that it was
Oh.
maybe a mechanic shop and we're right on
Yeah.
Summit, and yet we're
So-
saying it's Italian Village and we're using sort of an automotive font. I
Yeah.
thought that was actually kind of pretty fun.
Well, it just proves I have good taste. Um, No, but I really liked, does the Ferrari font have that horizontal?
It does, just on the F.
Okay, that's really nice. I've not seen that done before. So I think that's quite nice, and I like the signs and the size, and we don't know what the color is going to be, but I don't think black and white is horrible. The one thing I think about, I appreciate that you're sensitive to this new screen panel that's going to go up there. But I really question if we want to put the sign right in front of the junkiest part of, what's up
Well,
there.
if we're putting it right in front, if I can speak freely, I think if we put it right in front, that's what you're gonna look at. You're not gonna notice the air conditioner right behind it. I think
I
you're
would
gonna look at the
agree.
lettering.
If we're gonna still have a piece of this coming up, not only that front mechanical system, but those ductworks are gonna come up like this, so I kind of think, this is something for you to think about, it's just a suggestion. Here I go talking a lot again. But that maybe it isn't centered in the building, or the screen comes up higher in that area to contain the sign. And then the other thing that I would say about with the blade sign is, right now, it doesn't look like it goes with the other 2 signs, but I know you.
No, it doesn't. And we haven't spent, I didn't want to spend any time. So in the sign world, as a former graphic designer, I got paid for doing design work. Our designer, we're not, a client doesn't come to us and pay for design work. We're essentially doing design work for free. And then we make money on making a sign and selling a sign. So I don't want, knowing that it's gonna take love time to do something that looks nice, that's gonna be time that I'm not getting paid for. So before jumping into design, before getting an idea of what the commission will allow, I wanted to first go like, are these the right sizes? Are we gonna be able to do stuff here? Okay, once I know that, then I'm happy jumping into design and refining that and sharing that back and forth until we're somewhere that the client likes, that I like.
I think we
and
might be
that
on the
you guys
same
like.
page, Chris Roberti, but if you'd like to speak.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, is at this time your intent for this application just to review pretty much the sizing, location, and the amount of signage for the property?
Correct.
Okay, so nothing on design of what's been submitted so far,
No, other than
really?
knowing that I want to try to figure out what's going on with the screen wall,
Mhm.
so that I know that I can design my sign to work with the screen wall. And I think that the screen wall is a bit of a challenge. Again, a light color and having it be lapboard, there's no lapboard on the building, so that makes that a bit of a challenge. There's stucco and it's sort of this Swiss Village stuff, that doesn't really work for
Yeah.
a screen wall.
So I think at this time, the commission would like to comment on just the amount of signage that they're proposing, the signing, or the size, oh my gosh, the sizing of the signage, as well as, what else? Yeah, the sizing and location pretty much, and the amount would be
And I think
helpful for the
from-
applicant.
From what everyone's saying, I think the quantity makes sense. I think the placement to me makes sense. The outstanding question is just the sign over the railing. I think it's just going to be coordination that you guys are going to have with the architects in the room. So you guys can probably, discuss that with the owner. For me, everything looks appropriate. The sizing is appropriate. You've got 2 essentially faces that have exposure. So I think having Italian Village Market makes sense to me. Having two separate signs. To me, it's just a matter of trying to work through the railing.
So I will say, just for clarification on our guidelines, each ground floor tenant or building, if a single tenant occupancy, may have one projecting sign and either one wall sign or awning sign as approved by the commission. Since there is two technically tenants, it is fine to have the additional third sign. Just things to think about for the commission as well as the applicant. Italian Village Market is the same company, so that is two wall signs technically for that company.
Yeah.
So just to think about that and review further
My reading here
guidelines.
was one exterior sign, wall sign, projecting sign, ground sign, pole sign, blah, 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 and one interior window sign is permitted per business, per street frontage. So they've got frontage on Third. I think is it Third? The street on the south, and frontage on Summit. So they have two frontages.
That
So
is
in that
true. There
respect,
is,
it feels
there
like
is one for corner building. I did forget about that.
So in some respects, I thought, actually, gee, couldn't I go ahead and put another little Italian food club on the south side? But I don't feel the need for it, so I'm not suggesting it. But that's kind of where I wanted to get clarification and go like, hey, we can all
Yeah.
play nicely together and everyone can be happy somehow. It was under number 3, under signage and graphics, general guidelines.
Yeah. I do remember that portion, just thinking about it now. So yeah, just things to think about. There is that portion for corner located building. So thank you for that. But just to consideration. To think about.
Yeah, and I think, with that information, with the, configuration and straight exposure, I think, what we're seeing seems appropriate. I think there's just added dialogue that needs to happen with regard to the architecture.
Related to that, would it help if while they're going through reviews with you guys, if there's a sort of second page, if you will, that goes with their stuff, so that as they're talking about the screen wall, that instead of thinking of these things completely separately, we think of them actually, if the screen wall is going to hold a sign, that at least when you guys are discussing the screen wall, you're seeing a sign on it. Not necessarily that it's part of their formal drawings, but that it may help that conversation back and forth.
Anything to help make the argument that the applicant's trying to make with regard to the mechanical violation, to make that disappear, I think would strengthen the argument. So it would be a comprehensive package at that point, but two separate applications.
And a note could be made in the drawing from the other applicant, just noting that, signage is under a separate application.
No,
but yeah.
I think it should be a completely separate application. I just think that when you guys are discussing their application, that you guys are, for a commission member who wasn't here,
Yes.
is not then all of a sudden surprised when
And that
some
could be
signage application comes later
Yeah.
and it's like, hey, what happened?
And that can be coordinated with yourself and the other applicant as well, but what you'd like to submit. Is there anything additional though, comment wise for sizing, location and everything like that?
That I think they should really consider how that, if it would be in front of that, because I don't think it's going to screen it. I think it's going to call more attention to it. So I think to look and see, does that make sense? Or do they maybe pop up the screen wall in that area as a way to make that signage fit in and to have then
And I don't
one
mind,
piece
and
in
I
the
don't mind
middle.
looking at it, bumping it left or right. I mean, it sort of gets lost in this sort of sea there. So it might be kind of nice to anchor that more at one end or 3/4.
But you've got a person right back there that you're going to talk to about that.
We'll be chatting about it.
All right. Well,
Good.
thank you very much. And we'll send the comments after the hearing.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to, yes. if-
Just to recruit for this one, right?
No, this one is not the other Summit
Oh.
Street property, so we can move on to this application. Well, Joe, actually, I mean, since we're at conceptuals and just to, leave Shannon as recusal at this time, if we would like to just jump to the next application, we can. If that's all right with the other applicant, I'll just let Commissioner Salvador.
Okay with us.
Okay, if you're here for represent it. If you don't mind, our chair is.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't mind.
So we're gonna skip to 7.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Whatever you had to say about him before, just forget all. Completely different.
That will be so hard to do.
So you have to pop it. Okay. Well, still cover it. So. Okey dokey. All right. And if we would like to swear in the applicant, this is for 1022 Summit Street. So Mr. Toddy does not need to be sworn in because he's already been sworn in. We just need to swear in the other applicant at this time.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
And if you can state your name.
Garrett Talmadge.
Thank you. Okay. All right, this is another conceptual review. This is to relocate entry from the northwest corner to the north elevation. It would be helpful if I did bring up the application materials. Apologies about that. Entry to have a custom wood door, custom windows to match existing brick infill, painted to match existing brick. Existing entry corner to have brick infill painted to match existing relocated windows, and new custom concrete planter in front of the former entry. New signage was approved in September 2022 under COA IV 2209-013 with removal of the existing awning as well as painting the existing boarded transom area a neutral color. The property appears on the 1951 Sanborn maps and appears to have been expanded to the south by 1961. It appears the current entryway configuration has been present since 1982 or earlier with modifications made and approved in 1985 with the current glazed storefront. And just to add, I believe this did have a car, crash into the building. So this is the reason why the applicant is also here. The commission should offer design feedback that could be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at a future IVC meeting. No action is required at this time.
Okay, turn it over.
We submitted and we requested, I know it's under conceptual review, but I was asking under the circumstances if we could be considered for a full approval under these circumstances, because we need to, I would like for my restaurant to be in operation as soon as possible. Otherwise, it could be rebuilt as the previous way it was. However, I believe for my restaurant, the building, and the community, I think having the door moved from where it is to a new location would be beneficial from one, a safety standpoint, and to a standpoint of if that corner were to get hit again, my restaurant could be operational with some small repairs versus some very large repairs based on where my egresses are on the building. As of right now, I only have one egress door at my back door, and my front door is caved in from a van, and I cannot operate in any circumstance right now.
Yeah, I'll just add that this is the second such occurrence with this particular location in, I think, the last 3 years. The former Italian Village Market was hit by a vehicle as well. So in light of that, the consideration was made to relocate the door off the corner. We are also planning, we've engaged with the structural engineer. The site has been inspected, but one of the plans is to reinforce that corner when we build it back and put a big old heavy concrete planter in front of it, just to do everything we can to deter, God forbid, a third time this happening.
Absolutely.
So you'll notice in some of the photos there are, or you may be familiar with the building. There are these half-height Nana windows, or Nana style windows, rather. The intent is to do everything we can to repurpose at least 2 of those panels, if not more, in the corner entry or on the corner. So it would be the same sort of fenestration pattern and materials that you see in the other window bays at the corner. And then where the new door is, we would look to, custom fabricate or site build windows of the same type and style to match, to keep that that kind of rhythm going down the facade. As Garrett mentioned, we are seeking action on this. We are prepared to submit a building permit as soon as possible to get work underway and get him back open. So anything we could do to maybe even move this to a staff approval would be appreciated.
Okay. Staff, I'm assuming we can make that motion even though it's conceptual?
Technically, it can be. It has been done in the past for conceptual applications. It can be if the commission is feels that it could be considered as action. We do typically not recommend doing that, but it has been done in the past where it can be moved to an action item if the commission feels comfortable with that. Just a quick question for the windows that are going to be custom built. Do you know what that type of window will be or what material that will be? I know kind of similar to the nano wall, but manufacturer wise, I guess is our question.
I don't know that we can answer that now. I
Okay.
think that would be something we'd be prepared to address with staff if necessary.
Absolutely. But I want it to be as identical to that as possible,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
Are there ways we can address certain components as being approved and then having them come back with additional information maybe?
Yes. I'm sorry, it's been a while since I've had an application where it's been
This
moved
one's
to
a little
request for
atypical,
action.
If
Yeah.
If it makes any difference, I understand that this was a sort of emergency act. If we object,
Yes.
we appreciate it was requested for action when we submitted. I don't know if that matters, but
Okay.
we did not submit as a conception.
Since I unfortunately was not the staff, I'm not typically the staff member reviewing IVC applications at this time. Could you maybe refresh us on the conversation you might have had with the staff who was reviewing this at the time? Did they mention why conceptual? Just at the
No,
moment?
that I did ask the question.
Okay.
And I did follow up to confirm that it was in fact not going to be conceptual, and I did not get a response to that
Okay.
conversation. Now,
Okay.
I know you spoke to a
Yeah,
commissioner
a
who is
commissioner who was
recused.
recused, just,
Yes.
you know, a next door neighbor. I said, hey, under these emergency circumstances, is there any way we could get on today
Mhm.
for a full approval? And now I understand
Yeah.
that she has to be out of here for that.
I believe we talked a little bit about this in the business
Business,
meeting,
yeah.
and we all agreed that we should hear the case.
So it could just, if the commission does feel like it could be moved to an action item, it could be the same thing of, of course, conditional approval, items being sent to staff for review or again, subcommittee, as we've done in the past, for maybe additional drawings or anything like that to be reviewed by 2 or 3 of the commissioners.
Does that
If the commission
still
does.
seem agreeable to the commission?
Mhm. So if so, we do have to make a motion to move this as a request for action and then make a motion of approving it with conditions. So that it will be a two-step. Two-step.
That seems reasonable to me, but I just wanted to make sure that you heard us saying that there's probably going to be some additional drawings that you'll have to get to staff just because these are conceptual. And so there's a few things like with the nano windows and yeah.
And before we get into that, because I know that, of course, that was a quick question from the applicant, if we want to go through the comments for the commission and then we can see how we're feeling on
Yeah.
how you would like to, vote or motion at this time. So,
So we'll
Mhm.
start with comments first
mhm.
and
Yeah.
move from there. Okay.
Yeah.
Jordan?
Yeah, so just to clarify, with the windows that are replacing the existing door, those are planning to be nano windows as well?
Those will be fixed.
Fixed, okay.
Yes.
And then same with the windows that are gonna be next to the new door, those will be fixed?
That's the intention, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as far as I thought, is the current windows on the north facing that were damaged, some of those panes are in good condition. They can't operate in the same way, but we were hoping to repurpose those panes and move them to that corner, the same exact ones, and just move them over there and they'd be fixed at that point.
Gotcha.
Because they can no longer open, however, they do operate as a window.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine.
Mhm. That's the only question or comment I had.
So, not because I want to hear the story of how this happened, but because I want to think about the safety.
Mhm.
Is it that the cars are just, how did it happen? Because I'm wondering if this concrete planter is enough and with the reinforcing that you have, so. how
So
did it
we're,
happen?
I talked with the structural, before that, I talked with the structural engineer. I asked all these questions. They said the absolute best way, aside from bollards on the very edge of the, that bump out
Sideway.
the city did,
Oh.
is to do these kind of abatement planters that they do at, shopping centers, XYZ, that absorb a lot of this impact. And then I asked them about, reinforcing that wall as well. They said, the structural engineer said that would be the best way to reduce the impact.
But what makes these cars run into this building?
It's,
People fly down Summit.
they're
It's
flying
been a
down
problem for
Summit.
years.
And so there were two cars going down Summit southbound, obviously one way. Car in the furthest lane from my building, the right lane if you're going south, was going out to turn in front, go left onto Third, and they ran of the van that was in the left lane into the building.
Hmm.
Right. And that's what happened, yeah.
Because I think when I looked at it for, not just from a kind of safety standpoint, to me, it doesn't seem like it would really, like, is it going to be pushed over into those poor people who are sitting in that curvilinear booth when it was a vestibule before?
Right. So, these were thoughts we had. The wall is both going to be reinforced, and then the concrete planter, and then there's nothing on here, but I get this could possibly be sent to staff as well. I'm all for putting one. I want my corner to be beautiful. I would love to have even more planters closer to the curb if possible, even, which would definitely lessen impact significantly. Also, this was on a Friday. This happened a Friday morning at like 9:40 a.m. We had plenty of reservations that night. If that was 6 p.m., if that was 7 p.m., there's not very much waiting area there too, right there. Most people stand right outside or right in that doorway. At times we have up to 8 people just standing there waiting to come in at the host stand. Easily could have been hit, I feel like this is definitely a far safer way of operating.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you have a structural engineer who is, but I just, to me, it seems like the planter could be bigger, and not only just from
Oh,
a
absolutely.
safety standpoint, but
Right.
also it's such a prominent location to have really beautiful
100%.
plants in there. It's not that big.
Yeah, that's not, again, we can send those things to staff.
Yeah.
I want to have as much protection there as possible,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's not I don't want to have a very small planter there. No.
We fully anticipate that planter to be majority concrete, not more concrete than soil. Because
Well,
again,
yeah.
it's really a function of just buffering anything that might come at any speed into the building.
I would just like you to consider the design of that a little bit more. You can see that there's edges that are probably 4 inches of concrete.
Sure.
Is it reinforced when it's only 4 inches of concrete,
Right.
so reinforcing is going to help a lot. So it would just the planters needs more attention is what I'm saying.
Sure.
I think in principle, I really like the approach of the planter for the building hardening. It's a nice passive approach. It's a lot more decorative than the, bollards that you were talking about. I think, when I've seen these in the past, when it's truly a building hardening approach, there's typically a foundation. So just different things to consider with your structural engineer. I have no issue with moving the entrance to the side. I think, given the history and, what you're dealing with currently, I think that makes a lot of sense. The door design to me is fine. I don't have an issue with that. So a lot of the approach to me seems like it's a lot of just restoration work and just, kind of just taking a very proactive approach to trying to deal with a really unfortunate circumstance. I think there's just probably more details that we would have to see. And, I think that's, maybe this is part of the conversation that we really need to understand, what the commission's flavor is for, kind of approving what we can right now and then coming back with additional information through a subcommittee or, representing additional information as needed. So I think that's probably part of the conversation that we need to have as a commission now.
And a subcommittee just means that just only two of us would agree to meet with you and kind of just go through
Work
some
directly.
things
Just
and, yeah.
It would just be email for subcommittee.
We just getting email documents.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, because that would just be emailed to us. We'd send it to the subcommittee. They would review, based off their comments of what was needed. If, they need something additional, we'll let you know, vice versa, and all that stuff.
That because we met before.
I don't know if we have. Oh, well, interesting.
So I guess what we would vote on in principle is shifting the location, the planter, and any of the repair work with repurposing windows and field installing or field building new windows, I think is what I read. Is that correct?
What was that, Commissioner Brady? I'm so sorry.
Sorry, so what we'd be voting on is if we want to approve this application with the shift in the entry location, the planter.
Yes.
and The windows, correct?
Yes, so
How
would
do we move it to an action item?
Yes, so what is being presented at this time, of course, the new entryway, the infill of the original door or the existing door with new windows, and then the planter and things like that. And then also, again, if there's additional items that needed for approval. Mhm.
Can I am I able to jump in?
Yes.
In terms of separating scope for approvals, I just want to point out the planter is not something that would need to be permitted by the city. So we could, in effect, break that out and have more discussion about that as a design element. I think the time sensitive issue is the permitted work, which would be the wall and the door.
Mhm.
Yep.
So does the commission feel that they have enough to move forward as an action? Do they feel that they need additional information that the applicant can provide at a future hearing? That's just the conversation to have between the three of you right now, what the commission feels comfortable doing at this time.
Thoughts, Jordan?
I mean, we don't need like necessarily materials for like the color of the door, things
So-
like that.
We could do that via subcommittee.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I think for me, it's really looking at the location of the door, kind of the infill, the windows, just the design and principle, and then kind of working through the finer details, the logistics through a subcommittee or through staff approval, depending on
Mhm.
how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with moving.
And mine too, because all these drawings are going to go through building permits, so.
Right, yeah. So I think what we need to do now is make this an action item, so
Mhm. So we need to vote on moving the conceptual application to a request for action application at this time.
So motion to move COA 26000087 to, what was the last part?
Just to make it into an action.
To make it into an action
Application.
item, application.
Mhm, mhm. An action item, yeah, so.
you have to second. I can't.
Well,
All in
I
favor?
seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Action.
Okay.
All right, so the application is currently considered an action application. A motion could be taken on the application.
I just wanted to address his comment about the planter. Is there a way that can lag behind a little bit? If they get all the building permit stuff done and submitted and approved, where does the planter have to be? When does that have to be done? If they need more time with that? You might find that you don't.
For the planter itself, since again, this has now turned into an action application, that part could be continued on. This, we can make this really complicated. Sorry, we could split the application to move that portion into, to continue if like the commission needs additional information on that. Or again, if it's something for, or can be removed to be reviewed at a future hearing if it doesn't need to be installed right away,
Technically, if it's not a structural element with the foundation, then it's not permittable, or it's not something that you need for permitting, but you would need
a COA.
COA.
Yeah.
So
So it still needs to,
You can still handle that in the subcommittee. can't you?
yeah, we can also handle that in the subcommittee as well. Just if there was additional items or anything like that, or need to talk to the city or anything, just if there's anything additional that might need to be added on. It could be done with the subcommittee, or if it needs more, it could be, reviewed later with a separate COA, or it could be split off as a continued. But we have different options. I know I'm giving many options, but we have options. So
There are many.
So does it make sense for us to create a subcommittee to deal with the finer details? And then if it's determined that we need to bring this back in front of the commission?
Yes.
We take that approach?
Yes.
Does that seem agreeable to you guys?
I think so. Subcommittee with regard to all of the components?
All of the things that we typically look at, color, just more detailed kind of things, as we did with the
That's
last one. And
Light
but
fixtures, plant material?
you
The
got-
section of the infill, more detail on the infill. Are you using the brick from the door, or the brick that's being removed from the door, the new location, putting that in where the windows are now, like stuff like that?
And instead of waiting until the next meeting, we have subcommittees where people, need to move more quickly or other things like that.
It sounds like you guys are pretty close to permit drawings, right? So you may already have a lot of that information.
Right.
It might make sense to do this as a subcommittee.
Yeah.
Not that I'm recommending one thing over another, but just trying to figure out how to streamline this for you
Right.
guys and how to get this thing moving so that you're not waiting too long.
Mm-hmm.
Because in principle, it's the door relocation makes sense to everyone. I think, we all agree on that. It's just some of the finer details, which may not necessarily show up in here, but maybe in your permit documents.
Sure.
And those can be submitted to staff and then run through the subcommittee.
So it would be a motion with, approval with conditions, conditions to be submitted to subcommittee. And then the commission that is, or the commissioners that are volunteering to review those documents will review them at the time after this hearing. I guess the conversation is just what conditional items are needed from the applicant. And if commissioners are wanting to move it to approval at this time. So,
I was just going to say, you're moving towards construction documents, and in that process, you're figuring out all those things that Morgan was saying. How are these certain things going to be constructed? And so that's what we would be looking at. We would just be looking at it ahead of schedule. I'm not getting really specific because it all falls under this umbrella. The things that you're doing when you're doing construction documents. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think what we're really looking for are the exterior materials to be clearly defined. It's the window details, a little bit more information on the infill and at the corner with the repurposed windows, details if you have it on the concrete plan or what the plantings are, any sort of paint application or if you're just salvaging the brick, and then any sort of exterior lighting that would be associated with the project. So those would be part of the subcommittee.
Understood.
No comment.
So do we have volunteers for the subcommittee?
Yeah,
Okay.
if I can.
We can have all three, since it's just 3 out of the 6 commissioners that we have.
Okay.
If you would like.
Sounds like all three of us volunteered.
We're trying to help you.
Okay. Does somebody get the joy of making the motion?
Oh, I thought Jordan
Yeah.
did.
So motion, to approve with conditions, COA 26000087. And that's a, approval with conditions to be reviewed with the subcommittee. Those conditional items are the, to make sure the exterior materials are clearly defined, such as the window details, details on the infill, paint application, and if there's salvaging the brick, and then also any exterior lighting that is to be added.
Okay.
I think that covers it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
Good to go.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate it as well.
Look.
Thanks for all the discussion.
Okay.
I've heard wonderful things about the rescue.
Come try it when it's real.
You want to get,
I'm not sitting on that corner.
Yeah, right here.
I'm kidding.
I truly feel it's gonna be much safer
Yes.
with as much, and I'll talk with Matt too.
Need to
If we
make,
can put stuff further out into another place, further out as well. I don't want my building hit. I don't want my patrons to get hurt. None of
Yeah.
that, you know?
I
And
feel
especially,
like
I
I'm
was
taking
so
my-
lucky that no one was standing,
oh, I know, yeah.
right?
But I feel like I'm taking my life in my hands every time I try to turn left onto Summit. It's,
Oh, yeah, exactly,
the
yeah.
cars are flying
No,
down.
that's another discussion. That's not with the committee about.
Yeah.
And just the traffic flow over there,
Mhm.
turning it to a two-way, there's all sorts of things. But it's not safe as it is though.
Yeah.
But thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
good luck. Thank you.
All right, so Commissioner Salvador has returned.
All yours.
Like we don't have anyone for 842 North 4th Street.
We don't.
Do I have a motion can we just continue?
We don't have to continue because it's conceptual technically. Since it is conceptual, do the applicants, do the commissioners have any comments they want to just, send back to the applicant or just kind of what they've,
Received a ton of comments from the business.
that's what I was going to ask, or just to refer back to the business meeting
Yeah, I don't
comments.
think they made any changes.
No.
Uh,
No, we don't.
No new changes or anything like that, so we can just let them know. To refer back to business meeting
Would we
comments.
say to them that we would not approve this if that's what they?
I think
Well,
they know that.
Yeah,
Conceptual, though, so.
Yeah.
again, conceptual, but it could be, commissioners can also say that it would not be, typically ground signs cannot be supported, so.
They
But-
received that.
Yeah,
Loud and
so,
clear.
but we can make note of that, just refer back to business meeting feedback. Okay, well, that is all for our applications, so we can, move to new and old business, which we do not have any, and we could adjourn unless the commissioners have anything at this time.
Do you have a motion to adjourn?
I do have a question, but it can wait. I move that we adjourn the meeting. Is that what you wanted me to say?
Is a question, meeting related, Perla? Because okay, because I was gonna say, if so, we should keep on record. All right.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.
My question is just
Wait.
about this. I'm on another subcommittee. And before, when we had the subcommittee about the siding on the house and we went out there and we met, that's what made me think that we would meet with these guys too. It happened right away. And this